Oh, father.
Yes.
I would like to take you back to Legacy of Lies.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the story, your journey, how it happened, when it happened, all the ins and outs?
Yeah. It's a long story. Are you ready for this?
I'm sat. I am sat.
You're going to be sat on the edge of your seat, all of you, when you listen to this. Now, I had a dream when I was 5 years old because I watched a James Bond film called The Man with the Golden Gun. It was about 1973, 1974, a long time ago. And I absolutely fell in love with James Bond. That was my go-to to escape. Okay, cinema was my go-to to escape, but especially James Bond. And especially that film, because it was filmed in the Far East. And when I saw the Far East, I thought, I have to go to that place. It just looks phenomenal, you know, the Thailand, all that kind of place. And I was the kid at the back of the classroom. I was 5 years old, 6 years old, looking out the window, imagining I was James Bond, literally imagining I was that character, because my life outside of that was really tough as a kid. There was homelessness, there was domestic violence going on. I've talked about this before. You know, I used to come home from school, I used to pee my pants on the way to home because I didn't want to go back home. It was that bad, right? And when I came home, a lot of the time, there'd be objects thrown at each other and all kinds of shit going on. Luckily, he was away a bit. He's died, so, you know, that's all good in that respect, right? But that went on for years. I mean, I used to sleep under the bed, not even on the bed. It was just, I was literally adrenaline all the time. And I was also bullied a lot at school, a lot. And I ran away from school a lot. So anyway, so this was my escape. I couldn't engage with academics because of that was going on, but also they put me in the stupid class. That's what they used to call us then. 1S, literally. 1 special. Because we weren't as fast as other kids in school.
Imagine that happening now.
Imagine that happening now. How woke we are now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That actually was happening. And obviously you got more bullied because you got labelled as stupid, you know. So I completely had no confidence in school. And anyway, I looked out the window, I was James Bond. I was in the Far East, I was dating a beautiful woman, I was rich, I was all these nice cars, all stuff like that. And that stuck with me forever, really. And I knew that I wanted to make a feature film. I knew what to be in films and I knew what to get into it. But I didn't know how. Life got in the way. Business got really busy. I became hugely successful in my own right. And I, you know, when I do something, you know, you're my daughter, how focused am I in doing something?
I don't think I've ever met a more focused person. I sometimes wonder how you do it all. I'm like, oh God, I need to do this, and Dad's doing 5,000 projects. But it's very admirable, and I really, it's an amazing quality. And I think the fact that you've got so many ideas and you're always willing to help and teach as well, because that's massive. You know, a big part of life is how we can give to others, and that's something that you really stand for. So
So fast forward now to 1997, and that's the year that you were born. Yeah. Right. And I was headhunted to go to work in Malaysia with your mum. You were 6 months old, and it was a huge project. A lot of people wrote me off. The culture was against it, the work culture. There was a lot of people that didn't like me there. I'll talk about this in a different episode, but I turned it into a $1 billion company. It nearly killed me, but that's what I did. Now, that dream of making a film stuck, never went away. By the time I got to 45, which is just over 10 years ago, I said, right, I've done everything I want in business. I want to make a feature film. So I reached out. When I want to do something, you know, I just go all in.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a clue how to make a film. So I just reached out to everyone I knew on Facebook was a thing then. And this one woman reached out to me and said, yeah, I'd love to make a film with you. Let's write a script. She had an idea. The film was called Tangerine Skies. We wrote the script. She went to some locations. I sent her £25,000.
Oh, dear.
And I never saw her or the money again.
Yeah.
So that was strike one, telling me, don't make a film, Marco. you're not good enough, you're never going to do it, blah, 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 all those voices.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Now, on that project, there was a bit of good news. I met a guy who I'm still friends with called Victor Sole. He was a Spanish actor, been in loads of films. And he said to me, Mark, I really love working with you, although that didn't pay off, I'm sorry what happened. My friend, one of my best friends, is Adrian Bol. He's Dutch. He has the same burning desire as you to make a feature film. I'd love you to meet him and see if you can work together. Would you be willing to come to Holland to meet him? I said, yeah. Obviously I was sceptical, but I went over to Holland. Beautiful man. His wife is Ukrainian, and he was insanely, he had this huge appetite to make a feature film. He won loads of awards, like MTV music videos, stuff like that. Now, bizarrely, one of his friends was a guy called Rutger Hauer. Many of you won't know him a bit too before your time, but he was the lead actor in a film called Blade Runner with Harrison Ford, I think the best sci-fi ever made, right? And he was one of my heroes as a kid, and he said, would you like to meet Rutger? I said, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
So we went to meet him for the day. I interviewed him. It was insane. Sadly, he died a couple of years ago, but that was one of my dreams, and that kind of got me hooked. And he said, listen, I've got this story. It's a political thriller based on the true story of how the Russians bombed a building in Kiev in 1999 and covered it up. Right? So I said, that sounds really spicy. He said, yeah, it's spicy. And the reason he was motivated is because his wife was Ukrainian and lost people in that bombing. So it was kind of a revenge film, I don't know. But at that time, I didn't know that was a big deal. I just wanted to make a freaking film, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So he wrote the script, we consulted, and I started doing the social media, started marketing it. This was in 2015.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah. This was 5-6 years before Legacy of Lies was even thought about. And me and Adrian formed our own production company. So I started doing the social media, and it was getting a lot of attention. And then one day, Adrian called me, completely out of the blue. I was living in Malaysia at the time. He said, listen, I've got to tell you something, but I need you to sit down. He sounded serious, but I didn't know he was that serious. And he said, listen, just sit down. I said, okay, I'm sitting down. He said, listen, your face is all over Russian news. And me being the internal optimist, I thought, that's fantastic PR, Adrian, that's amazing. That's exciting. He said, no, Marco, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah. Your
face is on the news, and they've taken your Facebook posts and your Instagram and put red circles around what you've said about the president of Russia. And on the news channel, they've said that this guy, meaning me, is crazy. He's a dead man walking. Now, I didn't believe what he was saying to me, but part of me did believe it and was very scared.
Yeah,
because you don't mess with the Russians, right?
No, definitely not.
How would you feel?
I'd be like, I need to hide.
How would you feel? But I needed some evidence. So I fortunately, I was able to get the newsreel sent over to me. I've still got it, right? And I was translated, and I saw everything he said. It was exactly what he said. And I literally was crapping my pants. It's the scariest I've been in my entire life, right? And of course, I'm like racing around, thinking, oh, how the hell am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I basically reached out to every Russian that I knew. Fortunately, I knew some Russians that auditioned for the film in Kiev. And there was one lady I reached out to said, listen, have you seen this newsreel? Am I going to be okay? And she said, you'll be okay. This happens all the time in Russia. I said, really? Yeah, they do this to make the news, you know. You'll be. Will I be okay? Yeah, probably be okay.
Probably.
So obviously that wasn't really reassuring to me.
Really not.
So this was every day. I was scared to hell. Now, for about a year before this incident, while we were preparing this film, there was a Russian woman that became quite close to me on Instagram. Didn't put two and two together. Thought it was no association. And one day she said, I was living in Malaysia. She said, can I come and see you? I said, sure. So I picked her up. She came to stay with me. We spent 3 days together. We had a great time, and then, as people do, and we were in bed together on the third day. I was naked, she was naked, and she said to me, Marco, I don't think you should make this film.
Oh, gosh. Oof.
And I'm like, why did you say that? And she said, because I'm not who you think I am. Now, imagine the scene, 4-poster bed, red silk sheets, beautiful bedroom, James Bond scene, literally, right? And I'm going, well, who the fuck are you? And she said, I am a Russian FSB. I didn't even know what FSB was, it's like the old KGB.
Right, yeah.
And she said, I've been sent here to warn you that if you make that film, we cannot guarantee your safety.
That's terrifying. Wow.
She went on to say, we've been watching you for about a year, we've booked your office, we know exactly what you've been saying, word for word, right? I travel the world selling weapons to different countries, and my best-selling weapon is cyanide.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? And obviously, right now, I'm crapping my pants, but at the same time, I'm in survival mode, and the great thing about my life is I've got skills in survival, you know. But still, everything started shrinking. Violently, right? And I'm thinking, what the hell am I, back in my mind, how the hell am I going to get out of this situation? And she went on to say, said, listen, you showed me a phone, this is a picture of me and the president in front of me. And of course, all these things are racing through my mind. Saul's in the background listening, my son is over there. Everything's, well, what, she can kill me, she can poison me, because she was due to stay with me for another week. So, for the time being, I just played. I said, okay, that's fine. I don't believe you, but that's fine. Let's go out, right? So my instinct was to get her in public so people could see her that knew me. So there was some kind of memory, you know, some kind of evidence. And it took me 3 days to process what she told me. And I said on the third day, I said, listen, because by that stage I talked to Adrian, I talked to everyone I knew. Adrian said, let's just stop, the project's too dangerous, right? And the thing that was bothering me the most was that I wasn't able to make a freaking film. Again, strike two, right? Something was stopping me from doing it.
Yeah.
And the irony is that particular block created the tagline from a musical, which is, are you prepared to die to live your dream? That's where it came from.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Line.
So I said to her, I said, listen, I've had a really deep think about this. I've talked to everyone in the film. We're not going to make the film. And I hated saying it because it was my dream. I said, secondly, if you wanted to kill me, you would have done it already.
Good point.
Right? That was my rationality to make me feel a little bit, I could live a bit longer than the next week. And I said, thirdly, as yours due to stay with me another week, it could be the last 7 days of my life. I would like to have a great time with you. I didn't say exactly that, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
And she laughed and said, no one's ever said that to me before, so why not? Okay. So I had a great time. She left. And of course, I was still crapping my pants, right? Because anything could have happened. Literally, you didn't know. It was like having a dagger above your head.
Yeah.
That could let go at any time. And this just went on, and we stopped the film project for 6 months. 6 months later, nothing happened. And me and Adrian said, why don't we make a different film, a fictional film? We'll call it Legacy of Lies. We'll make a spy thriller. We'll talk about the irony of what happened to you, we'll turn it into a fictional film.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Obviously, he wrote the script, he consulted with me. You know, he's the writer-director, right? And then we started. What we needed to do was make a trailer so we could get some funding and, you know, some people to take part in the project. So we made this film, and I remember after spending 75 grand already and losing it, I scraped another 12 grand together to make this trailer. And the trailer was parts of a James Bond film, parts of the Bourne Identity, but also had me in it as the main actor, because I was always going to be the lead of the film. And we made the film for 12 grand. He met a production company in Kiev that had a connection to the Ukraine Film Foundation that was run by the government, ironically by President Zelensky, who used to be an actor.
Right.
And of course, this is before the invasion, well, before the war with Russia. And amazingly, we won a $1 million grant. I've got all the evidence, by the way, of this. A $1 million grant to make the film, which was, I was jumping up and down, it was crazy. It was crazy. But part of the condition for that is we had to find a lead actor, not me, because I wasn't famous, that could pull in funding for the project. Yeah. Which was devastating for me because I wanted to be the lead. But it was okay for me to be a support because we could get it could be a bigger film, right? Yeah. So, again, a long story short, I signed a contract as executive producer and supporting actor, all created by my lawyer. I provided all the funding. I put $250,000 into the project page. Do you know how much pounds that is?
200k?
Yeah, it's about £220,000.
Yeah, a lot.
You can imagine how hard I had to work to put that money into that project. It was my life savings.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I remember meeting the first producer that came on board to meet me in London and said, Marco, if it wasn't for you, this project would never even get started. It's just too risky. Without you, this film would never be made. I'm quoting you. I've got all this down, written in emails, okay, from the get-go, okay? Meetings in Kiev with the production team, interviewing actors like Carl Urban, Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. There were $20 million to get in the project, but they would have brought funding in. We couldn't get then, and the fund due date was expiring. We had to get someone into the project, and eventually we got Scott Adkins, who signed on to the project. Now, Scott Adkins signed on to the project not because of the film, but because there was my money, $250,000 in escrow. Because in the film, the way it's financed is you have to put the money in escrow, the actor has to see it, and then they sign on to the project. Otherwise, the actors don't sign on because they think it's bullshit, because most film projects are bullshit.
Yeah.
So this is my life savings in an escrow account that's attracting all these actors, right? And he signed on to the project, and the moment he signed on, I got pushed out politically, right? Where people were starting taking the credit for the film that would never have been on the film in the first place if it wasn't for my life savings. How would you feel about that, Paige?
Extremely disappointed. And yeah, what's the point? That's what you would think, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Now, this was an exciting process for me still, and I was asked to meet the new investors. I had to persuade all the investors, Marco, can we see proof of the money you put in? Again, they wouldn't have invested if it wasn't for my risk, right? I had to go for dinner, entertain them all kinds of stuff, right? And what I noticed was it was extremely disorganized. It was all over the place. There was money being wasted here, there, and everywhere without my permission, right? Because in a contract, there's conditions precedent where they have to meet certain criteria before I release the money. They said, can you waive that, Marco? We need to get... Stupidly, I waived that, right?
Oh, God.
But I didn't put any more money in because I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to do that anymore because I knew I would have lost it, okay? Yeah. So anyway, we carried on the project. They started reducing my lines in the film, which I fought against and fought against and fought against, okay? I got them the extra funding. They got $1 million funding from the government. They got a private investor. I persuaded her to put 800,000 euros into this project. True story, right? And in fact, we got money from all over the place. And 3 weeks into filming, they ran out of money. Very disorganized. And I could have pulled out any time and got my money back legally, but I decided to stay in it. Adrian became more disconnected from me. I wasn't brought in to make decisions. It was like that kind of thing, right? So anyway, we finished the film, making the film, and in December 2019, we were just about to release the film in cinemas, and what happened?
COVID.
Yeah. So COVID meant we couldn't do a theatrical release, which was devastating again because we'd raised $5 million.
Well, that's also what you look forward to, part of the film, isn't it?
And because I wasn't in control as the major decision maker, which I should have been, they decided stupidly to put it on Amazon Prime. In America, where there was no marketing, and that is really dumb, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm a marketer and a businessman.
Yeah.
So I said to them, listen, and before that I said, listen, I will do all the marketing, all the social media, but take it off Prime. So I started doing that, single-handedly worked my entire bottom off. And if you remember Clubhouse at the time,
yeah, I do.
I had 5,000 people in one room on Clubhouse talking about my Russian story about the film. They were like, wow, right? And Netflix UK bought the film. It went to number 4 in the charts, which was fantastic, right? But the best thing was that Netflix USA bought the project and it went to number 2 in the USA. It debuted on the first day, which was
incredible.
I was dancing around my apartment naked. It was amazing.
I'm not surprised.
Right, and I said, how can I beat this? And the universe said, Marco, write a musical about your life, call it Legacy of Spies. The tagline, are you prepared to die to live your dream? Which is the story of my life, and you know my life's been absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. as a short word, yeah.
The story of my life, how everything I've tried to do has been impossible, but I've done it anyway. All the haters, which there's still loads of trolls and haters now, as we know.
Yeah, but I feel like whenever you're someone that's doing really well, and you failed and risked everything to get there, there will always be someone or many people that will try and bring you down to their level because they have nothing else to do, and their purpose is to try and bring people down. That says a lot about them.
Well, I always say I've never met a hater doing better than me.
It's true.
At all.
It's
right?
true.
Now, just to give you some kind of verification of all these facts that I'm talking about, because people like to see proof.
Yeah.
On my website, there's a new page called Proof of Work with every single document from that Legacy Alliance project, because I've decided to make it public. Yes, I've scrubbed names out to protect privacy,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
But I've made every document public, which legally states that I'm a producer of that film.
Is it on there now?
Yes. No, it will be that. By the time this podcast comes out, it will be live,
right.
all right? And on that, let's see, the exact contract the producer signed with me, my money, proof of my $250,000 being sent to their bank account, because a lot of people have sent, oh, there was no money sent, he's not involved in all this kind of bullshit. I'm sorry, I have the receipts, right? Because people have tried to cancel me my entire life. I will not be cancelled. You can't cancel anyone with the receipts page, right?
That's true.
Now, you were there, not there on set with me, but you were there when I was involved with that project. What's your experience from remembering that?
I remember how excited you were. That's probably one of the big things that I remember. And I remember you meeting Adrian Ball. I've messaged Adrian Ball about film stuff before. Yeah, I remember you showing me videos on set. I was actually in Australia at the time, that's why I couldn't go. And COVID hit, so I couldn't come back. So I was actually supposed to come back to help you with it and see what it's like, because I'm an actress and I love everything film. So I was like, great experience. Yeah, I just remember chatting to you about it,
And how many years was that over?
a fair whack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the stuff when all the Russian stuff when I was younger, but I remember you telling me about it later on, because I was too young at the time to be involved in that. And yeah, I remember you telling me about Legacy of Lies, and I was so gutted I couldn't be there. I remember you telling me about going in cinemas, but obviously COVID hit again, so you were like, oh, this is just real. I just remember a lot of what went on. Maybe not as deep as you've told us, more recently in the last few years. But yeah, it's amazing what you've achieved and what you're continuing to achieve.
Yeah. And
it's just very frustrating when you have nasty people that have nothing better to do than to sit on their keyboard chatting shit. Yeah,
they're called keyboard warriors, which are the ultimate cowards.
I agree.
And it's just jealousy, because what they do is they project their cowardice onto you, because they've not got the balls and the courage to fucking do it themselves.
100%.
So they blame you to make them feel better about not doing it. Fucked up is that, right?
It's not.
But the worst thing is that the producers tried to take the credit from me and give me no credit.
Yeah.
For all that work. I remember that if it wasn't for me, that would never existed at all. Right? And people seem to forget that, even the people in the project, because they've got all this, oh my God, I'm on Netflix number 2, but if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be on Netflix number 2.
Yeah.
So I have to tell this because I've set the record straight.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
It's just...
Because there are so many people trying to take the work off you, or they don't remember because they get so bedazzled by fame, right?
Yeah, stuff that, I guess, yeah, it's nice, but the stuff that matters is where it's come from, the origin, and the people that you work with.
Yeah, so I wanted to do this interview with you because you were close to me, because you moved order, so you remember how many years this went back.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got all the evidence, so that's going to be posted on the website. It's undeniable what I'm saying, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anybody want to ask any questions about that, just reach out to us, all right?
Yeah. Thank you.